So the penultimate issue, I always say issue, episode of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier of the one
I
and
mean, it's
only
comic
season.
stuff. It's
Yeah,
forgivable.
yeah, it really is. It's just ingrained in me. But so we got the number 5 episode, the penultimate. We've only got one episode left. Uh, I boy, this show, although very different from Wanda, I'm glad it's not. I'm glad we learned a lesson about speculating. I like this being as straightforward as it is. And the biggest thing, spoiler alerts, guys, on the stream, spoiler alerts. We're gonna spoil it like a rotten egg here. So the biggest thing to me in this episode is obviously this is the aftermath of John Walker as Captain America killing someone in cold blood with, cameras everywhere. And following through on that conclusion, he gets discharged. And after he gets discharged, uh, for those of you that don't know, I know she gives this whole long name, and that's very interesting. But Madam Hydra walks up to him, played by Julia Louise-Dreyfus, which really works. Actually, I'm really digging that.
I made
Just a
that
short,
at that same point. Yeah.
yeah, really cool scene. It's not very long, but it really sets a tone for that character that I think I'm going to enjoy.
She played Walker's wife too with that blank card. She's
Yeah.
like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. She's like, but I like the fact though also that they use her to explain the fact that like the shield is not actually government property. I thought that was cool. But I don't know. So in the comics, she goes from Hydra to going underground with Nick Fury. So I mean, she's not a straight baddie. Really kind of a deep cut. Not a popular character at all. Someone that disappeared for a long time. I know Hickman's Avengers run brought her up a little bit more, but she could be in Sword. I don't know, but that is Madam Hydra. For those of you that were not aware, and we don't know what role she'll play. But again, I'm just thinking like, man, her and Samuel L. Jackson is probably going to have some cool scenes coming up at some point. And that's and I don't know, it just works. So very, very surprised that Madam Hydra. I think they're basically so this episode was like, I don't know, I got thunderbolts from it, with Zemo, Zemo going to the Dora Milaje, who then take him to the raft. So I didn't quite understand that, but nonetheless, he's going to the raft, which is Thunderbolt Ross's personal cage, who is the Red Hulk, for those who don't know, in the Thunderbolts. So that was really cool. But to me, and I think JD, it was you who said you like the episode with the training montage. You wanted better music during Sam Wilson's training montage.
I just wanted a pop song of some sort in a training montage, because it makes a training montage. It kind of makes the training montage stand out a little bit. Like if they're going full Rocky, go full Rocky. Like it was not my Ryan Tiger, but something like that. I really liked the scene. I really liked what it meant to the character. I liked everything about it. I just make it a joke.
Yeah. What did you think of, and I don't want to gloss over it, but it did happen during the beginning of the episode, basically the fight for the shield between, Bucky, Falcon, and John Walker.
So this show has this formula where we start off with these big action set pieces, and then it kind of lulls down into a lot of character moments. And I don't know about every week, but most of the episodes they give you the really, really big bombastic action sequence. That first episode where they're doing the chase through midair is fantastic. Yeah. I really liked this. I really liked this sequence because it felt like John Walker was really unhinged, right? And we really got to see both Bucky and Sam really have their moments as a potential Captain America. And in the end, because it is the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they have to work together to stop this John Walker who's really lost it. Wyatt Russell has done such a great job playing John Walker, people legitimately hate him. Like they've completely forgotten that he's an actor, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Man, this dude, he sucks," and
He's
it
gotten death
stuns
threats.
me. Yeah, I mean that. It's crazy to think that an actor playing a role, especially a guy who's the child of Hollywood royalty, basically,
Yeah.
is in this spot. And I didn't even realize it was him till about week 3. Right. So I mean, he's done such a good job of making a character that's sympathetic and understandable, but like at the end of the day, hateable. Like when you're creating a good villain, you want someone that has motivations that you can kind of go, okay, I see where you're coming from, but what you've chosen to do is wrong.
Yeah.
That makes for a compelling villain. And he's done such a great job of doing that, to the point where there are media outlets that are going like, how can they do this to an American veteran? It's like, well, it's fiction. We're making this up as we go along. So, nothing is sacred.
Right.
But I mean, like, again, that just, you put that out to his performance. Wyatt Russell has captured this, and that fight sequence was fantastic. And I love the significant moment of win of I always want to call him U.S. agent, of that Captain America ripping Falcon's wings off, right? Because he's not going to be Falcon anymore. He's going to be Captain America. So I mean, there was just so much like great poetry done with the cinematography. I love this show. It's so good.
Yeah, it truly is. And of course it has a lot of social commentary to it, particularly with Isaiah Bradley and how he was treated.
I want more of him. I'm just going to say it now.
Absolutely.
Like, I would love for them to go back and do a film of him going through, because he deserves that character's awesome.
Well, the reason why I don't think that's going to happen is actually because of the name of this episode is Truth, which is actually the story arc that involved him. I think they're more setting up him, not only for what he's doing in this show, showing us how a black man who the serum worked on was treated, versus John Walker, who just got discharged and ultimately like, okay, you're not Captain America anymore. You're not in the army anymore. You can go off and do your own thing. And then, of course, the contrast of what Isaiah Bradley went through. Which, although that does kind of make you think that John Walker has a point when he's like, you made me. And you're like, you know what? He's right. Our government, in the show, made him. Just like they made Isaiah Bradley. But again, obviously...
Think about it, though, is that really too off? Like, obviously, outside of J100, we haven't been in the military, but there are secret ops and shit that end up that way. Like, it's not unbelievable. And that's what's crazy about this show, is everything that they're piecing together with what's going on in society, Walker just losing his shit. Like, it is absolutely something that has happened, obviously minus the super abilities, and will continue to happen one way or another.
What I love about good fiction is that it is metaphorical. Like we deal with like real issues and real stuff with history, but you candy coat it with all the bells and whistles of, like, in this case, superherodom, and it makes it kind of makes teaching a lesson or learning something or understanding the problems of the world we live in a little bit more digestible for some people. Like if we can, like a book like Truth, like that, I didn't know about the Tuskegee experiments until I read Truth. Right? Like I went out and I read something about it after I read that book, because I think I was a teenager when I read that, and I was shocked. I'm like, this can't be based in reality, because again, you grew up sheltered in the suburbs. You don't learn a whole lot about what really happens.
Right.
And so I like when good art can point me to learning a bit more about the world we live in. And this show does a pretty good job of it. Like it does like I said, in a palpable way that's digestible for the masses. It does a good job of making people ask questions, or at least it should.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I need to go back and watch this with kind of like more director eyes, or like just more analytically, than just trying to be a part of the story, to talk about on the show. And I'm going through a lot of other anime and stuff like that right now. So I have the time to do this. I just haven't yet, because as the show is getting deeper, It's still pissing me off, but just like you're saying, JD, like it is palatable and digestible. The issue, I don't mean to say the issue, the but that's the word I'm going to use. The issue that I have with this plot so far is it is again is it's kind of the issue that I have with like our real world right now, where, and I said this last episode, what are the flag smashers doing that are wrong? Like that's wrong. I still haven't figured out or pinpointed anything that they've done that deserves this treatment, animosity, and even terrorism tag. Like honestly, I don't see, besides them becoming super soldiers, I don't see where this terrorism is coming from. Number one. Two, then when you juxtapose John Walker versus, I guess, Sam, all right, because Bucky is kind of just like an in-between, like he's always been. But like, so when you juxtapose John Walker and Sam Wilson, that makes me uncomfortable too. I mean, that actually kind of makes me uncomfortable the most. I've never really liked Sam. I don't like Captain America, just the archetype in general, for the same reason why Isaiah Bradley don't want to be out to light. That's literally the reason why I can't stand Captain America. Like that in and of itself is what he explained is why I can't stand the character, and I've never liked the character. I mean, I get it, Steve Rogers, but like, get the fuck out of my face. So, to me, Sam is just this like, this is the acceptable Negro. You know what I mean? Like trope. And that kind of makes me upset too, because I'm sitting here like, bitch, you like, you about to lose your boat. About to lose your boat. Like, even Tony didn't pay your ass. Like, why are you like, aren't you and Bucky going around fucking people up, bro? Like, I don't understand. Like, you have the perfect opportunity to be free, but you still like, oh, I gotta follow these rules, and I still gotta do the military. And it's just like, bruh, like the same military that took your shield, took your homeboy shield, and got these people killed and ruined the you know the peacekeeping work that you were doing with this terrorist group or whatnot, you know, whatever. You're just gonna go right back to. You're just gonna just like go right back into the fold, and that it just makes me sick, because being someone who's been court-martialed, being someone who's had to sit in front of like a military tribunal of people judging you off of shit that they've trained you to do, but then they're like, no, we don't like this. Like, I go back and forth between understanding John Walker and then hating him at the same time. But then at the same time, I'm like, why is anybody trusting in dealing with these people? Like, why? Like, the whole point of the Avengers is like, fuck these guys. The whole point of Wakanda is like, fuck these guys. But then we just you know, the whole the to me, plot of this show is to stop the flag smashers, because that's what's going to make peace in the world. And I don't know about you, but I've, out of everything that I've seen from any blip, it's been done, whether it's been in Spider-Man, whether it's been done in Endgame, whether it's been done in WandaVision, whether it's been done in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, has been some fucking chaos that these motherfuckers clearly can't handle, because they just want shit to go back to the way it used to be. But why are we just like, yeah, we want to be on the GRC side? I'm sorry, but Carly makes every single point that needs to be made, like socially. We want to talk about social commentary. What the flag smashers are talking about to me is literally like it. Like, so we got to be human.
I don't.
When half the population was gone. Then now that these people are back, we're going straight back to, you know,
get out of
nation
here
states and fighting and war. Yeah, like,
remember, even Sam told her, I agree with what you're doing. I just don't agree with how you're going about it.
Yeah, I don't think she's
but that's what I'm. That's my whole point. That scene right there made me sick, because what are they doing? What did they did? The only thing that they've actually done. But okay, oh sure, but that murder was only, when you count the bodies that they have, it's only 3. They got 3 bodies. Hey, how many bodies have the GRC displaced? Millions at this point.
And I mean, that even goes back to JD's point. where you feel for what she's doing. You might just not necessarily agree with everything.
Yeah, I
So
don't.
that's why.
That's my one critique on this show that I haven't liked is I don't think because I agree with what Joe 100 is saying. Like I've had a hard time trying to think of okay, like you created a sympathetic villain, but have we created a villain that's too sympathetic and too correct?
Yeah.
Where I'm having a hard time being like, okay, because until they started killing people, which they have killed some people on the show, and yeah, it's a step too far. And she's taken. It feels like they've written her and they've written dialogue specifically to take her a step too far. Like I have a hard time with I agree with this of trying to justify exactly because I'm still trying to figure out what exactly the GRMC is supposed to be doing, like and what exactly the flag. It doesn't. There's some holes in this story that I'm not like just logistically not clicking with, and I'll be honest, the character work in this is taking me across the finish line in a lot of these cases because like when I've written about it and I'm trying to put it together, there are some like gaping holes in the logic of the series because I'm trying to figure out why are they the enemy? Like before they killed anybody, why were the Flag Smashers, other than calling themselves Flag Smashers, clearly, why are they the enemy specifically? Until they take that next step. And it's
That's
like, okay, yeah, but this like it's very unclear. Like what is like if they just set up like some kind of major crime or something, then we could have been like, okay, their actions are justified, but I just don't think the but is big enough yet. It just I feel like they're really leaning hard into this, quite frankly, right wing. Anything against this is wrong, and it's
because
just
they were just protesters at the beginning, weren't
yeah,
they?
and it doesn't feel right to me in a lot of ways. Like they've done some work toward it, and I'm kind of the mind that everyone on this show is a little gray, with the exception of Sam, who's the most pure character on the show. I think that's supposed to be what they're going for, where everyone's a little right, everyone's a little wrong. But sometimes when you're trying to think about the show, it makes it can feel a little muddled at times. So I understand 100% of what you're saying.
This show is definitely about how much better Sam is than everybody else. And this episode really drove that home because even though he was given the shield back, he was given a new suit from Wakanda, which what I love about this episode is it establishes that no one has the right to take the shield from him, and his new suit belongs to him because he got it from Wakanda. So out of this series, Sam Wilson's going to come out like free and clear. But despite all that, he's working his ass off, trying to be better. The scene that he had with his sister, if I swear they must be brother and sister in real life. I swear that if you told me that, I would certainly believe you because that actress is just killing it as far as like how a sister would act in that situation. And then to talk about how Sam's always trying to work on the world's problems and the problems here at home. And yeah, he is more Captain America than even Bucky, certainly more than John Walker or anybody else. And so, Jay, when you kind of give me your perspective, that's interesting because, me coming from my perspective, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, that's so cool that, a black man is clearly going to be Captain America here. He's got his two nephews and they're playing with the shield. And so in their lives, like, oh, look, we can be Captain America. And I generally feel very positive about it. But again, that's my perspective.
The line that's super powerful to me is when Isaiah said, no self-respecting black man should pick up the shield.
I knew that would resonate with you.
And I said, oh. It's like, I was just watching, my girlfriend could even tell you, I was just, well, because it's kind of like, it's kind of my point overall at the end of the day. Like it's Isaiah's testimony of his time period is a lot of things, especially historically. So they I forgot the doctor in the first Captain America, but that doctor sees this guy. He's just the Steve Rogers archetype, right?
Yeah.
And then what you see after that is basically like all the history that I read, where black people are guinea pig experiments. They don't even know half the time. They're guinea pig experiments. And then after, if anyone survives the guinea pig experiment, now you're, ostracized, or you're imprisoned, or you don't get to, like, there's just so many historical, I guess landmarks that you can follow that make Isaiah Bradley such a relatable character, whether it be someone who's lived during that time period or someone who knows the history like myself. So, I mean, it's that the part that's tough for me is that now, in order for this show to work, right, Sam's got to be this middle ground go between. And that's what, for me personally, I understand how everyone else, is just looking at this like, we got a new Captain America, another new Captain America, and everything is right, back to where it's supposed to be, blah 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 blah. But like, this is, it's uncomfortable for me personally, because like you were saying, JD, you had to read about the Tuskegee experiments. Well, if you already knew about that shit and watch this episode, like, this hit you in a different type of way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for Sam to sit there and say, or his sister, are you gonna listen to what that man said? Blah 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 blah. Like, I was doing this at the end of the episode, like, oh man, what do you mean? Are you gonna sit there and listen? Did you not hear what this motherfucker said to you? Like, you just gonna go in the middle and be in between all this shit? Like, they're like, he's telling you they're never going to agree with you. They showed you that he's never going to agree with you. And then, and this is my whole thing about Sam Wilson ever since the beginning. You're going to be in the middle, like, but I'm going to try anyway. Okay. All right.
I think it's more of a
years
prove them wrong,
to show you.
like change what people think.
Yeah, I tried to do that on Twitch, and we see how that worked. So, so this is for me. The thing that's keeping me going, even though I'm very uncomfortable, is how they play this out. Not only in this show, because as if we watch anything Marvel, since we've seen the first 3 phases or whatever, everything is supposed to connect to something bigger. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, because I'm not a real big fan of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm not going to be here. I'm like, I don't like the way they did Sam, because I know how they're going to. I have a feeling I understand how they're going to do Sam. But what they're going to end up probably doing is put him in an even bigger dilemma and predicament deeper into the story. So, I'm trying to just let it be what it is, and do my advice for Star Wars. Just let the story be what it is. But it is making me uncomfortable. And the only, I guess, vocalization that I have of that is, during like a analyzation that we're doing kind of like right now. I'm still going to watch it. I'm still going to, keep it what it is. But if you ask for my opinion on it, and I'm supposed to give my thoughts, well, my thoughts are, this shit's make me uncomfortable. And I just hope that they pay this off in a major way.
That makes 100%. That makes sense.
Needs this, to me, and this is my opinion. I think this really shines light on how a lot of fucking people think in the world right now, and it's not right. I'm not saying that. I'm just, people need to open their eyes and see that this is a common day occurrence.
I mean, and not to bring it up, but it kind of just parallels what we're talking about. I used to have this fun thing that I used to do, because I mean, I still, I guess, kind of do, but like, I used to drink a lot, and I used to go to these dive bars, especially in Parma, Ohio, and just sit there and wait for some shit to pop off conversationally. And then and for whatever reason, maybe it's my initial tone and my articulation, everybody, this group of guys think that, like, I'm gonna be the black guy that it says everything that they want to hear. But what I'm saying is the Colin Kaepernick situation, where this was so egregious to people years ago, so egregious that this man would disrespect the troops, even though he never even said that shit at all. And like, oh, this is terrible, to the point where now you're seeing the police disrespecting the troops on camera. And so what do you guys say about that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when it comes to a situation like even in this comic world where, you know, oh, this Captain America, you know, killed somebody, but you know, his commendations save him. Isaiah Bradley's didn't.
Right.
What do you mean? Like, he literally was given John Walker gave himself the super soldier serum. You gave Isaiah Bradley and unnamed others, you know, this serum, and then made them well, killed most of them, but then like made them enemies of the state afterwards.
And they
you know
didn't
what I
even
mean?
know.
So
Remember
it's
what he said is they were just out in the field, and then stuff started happening.
right. He was
Well,
the only one that kind of figured out what was going on.
Does the government even know that Walker took? I mean, I know that Madam Hydra knows, but does the military?
I don't know if they know. They never tell us. I don't know why they would think that. There's no reason to think that, but if you watch the actions, you kind of can't not know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But that was, I don't know, it just, you know, what you said reminded me there, John, of like, yeah, wait, do they even know? Outside of
all the drug marks were gone when he was getting in court.
Yeah.
He hit them heroin needles pretty well in them toes.
Oh boy. But
Do you
yeah,
guys think
no,
Sam's
powerful
gonna
stuff.
Get turned?
Is he gonna get what?
Get the power? Do you think Sam will end up, because remember, he has technical powers in the comics.
No.
Yeah, no, they won't go that. I mean, what his thing now will be, obviously outside of the training montage, is, you know, that he now has a Wakandan suit. I mean, it's not a full-blown suit, but I mean,
it could be powered some like the Black Panther suit.
I mean, I don't think John Walker will be able to rip.
Yeah, but even Black Panther
wings.
had the purple-shaped heart or herb or the heart-shaped herb.
Right. He had it started with a B.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it either.
Bass.
Well, that's the god. That's the god that led the original Black Panther to the heart-shaped flower.
The flower.
The power.
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't mind Sam getting the super soldier serum, because it was just like, you know, what Lamar said before he died was, you know, power is just making an extension of who you are, and that just goes to show you that John Walker was a head case in the first place. But
and why Rogers was, when he, even with the power, he was who he was, because he was a nobody and he always put his life at risk for people. Like,
he was All Might, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, powerful stuff. You know, all the way around. You know, really, really powerful stuff. And to me though, I'm loving Sam Wilson. I can't wait to see the Sam Wilson Captain America. And yeah, we got one.
I want more Bucky.
Well, you'll get more, but I know the Avengers I'm reading right now, Bucky is running around as Captain America. And of course Steve Rogers is there, but it's just Steve Rogers. But anyway, it's cool.
You know, if we can have a Captain America and White Wolf show, that could be the sequel, because they said that this was going to continue, but they never announced a season 2 yet.
Right. True enough. Omega Level Nerd D Square here. I hope you enjoyed this little excerpt from our show, the Omega Level Nerds podcast. I really do appreciate you checking us out. If you like what you watched today, then please check us out. There is the link to the whole entire show, over an hour's worth of some nerdy goodness for you. So definitely hope you check it out. Well, thank you very much. As always, peace and love. We'll talk to you again soon.